Okay, thank you very much. So, my name is Alexander Schlemmer and I'm from the Max Planck Institute for Dynamics and Self-Organization in Göttingen. And today I will talk about data integration basically and presenting a crawler framework, a quite general framework for crawling data on file systems and integrating the various excerpts from the data into research data management systems. So, we published an article recently about exactly that system. So the system itself has quite a long history already and been through several stages of development. The recent article discusses now and describes the most recent implementation I will talk about today. But let me first put the research question. So I was kind of fed up at some point to do all these data integration tasks again and again, like writing custom scripts for taking data or parts of the data and transforming them in a very specialized way. So I was kind of, we were kind of looking for a way to standardize it and to make it a little bit more flexible. So how can we simplify the task of data integration, especially for heterogeneous file layouts? This is an elaborate term, but of course I mean that, for example, in a work group, everyone does what he or she wants with the data. So, and we were kind of in the situation that we wanted to find a standardized way of picking up all that stuff and getting it into a research data management system. And the second point, which kind of came up from experience somehow. So we always do not really want to migrate the data or to ingest the data into our system, to our database, but we want to be able to use the data on the file system, so the files, simultaneous to our research data management system. So for example, if you have a workflow that still depends on the files, although there can be various reasons, like you are using software that doesn't have access to the database, for example, this should still be possible. So we really do not want to ingest the data, but we want to use it simultaneously. So there needs to be a way to synchronize data in some way between both systems. First of all, let me talk a little bit about the data management system we are using. So it was formerly called KSDB, so I need to correct that here. Now it's screenshot. So now it's called LinkAhead, was renamed quite recently. And this is actually an example I showed on the last de-RSE conference last year. We have two records in our system containing a lot of metadata and data. So these are, for example, files linked to that record, and the record always has a specific data type. Like here it's a data analysis, and this is a specific run of a data analysis. So there can be, for example, a link between a data analysis and a run. And this works kind of like in an ontology. So you have something like a network of objects that you can search through. And the main advantage of having such a system is that you can search it in a semantic way. So for example, I can look for data analysis with a date in 2023 and an identifier that is similar to Blender. This is already still a quite simple example, I would say, but making use of various information, for example, these two metadata attributes, but also the type of the record I'm looking for. And a more complex example would be something which is more close to a graph search. So in this case, I'm looking for a run, which is referenced by a data analysis with a date in 2023 and this identifier. So I'm actually looking for these kinds of objects, but I also look for a relation between this object and that object. And this is possible in a quite complex way by using that data management system. So I think findability is highly improved by using such a system. And here's some facts about the system LinkAhead. So it's a semantic research data management system, which was already published in 2019 in an article developed at our institute in Göttingen, approximately since 2010. We made an open source project out of it in 2018, so it's accessible here. There's also commercial support available by IndieScale. Since 2019, I'm also a co-founder of that company, and currently we already have approximately 20 to 30 instances in very different scientific disciplines. So it originates from biomedical research, but it's also used in glaciology and neuroscience and many other fields. And the main features, very briefly summarized, is that we have a flexible semantic data model. So the model can be varied and adapted very flexibly. We have this highly modular data crawler I'm talking about today, and we have this semantic search that I showed on the previous slide. So let's have a look at an example. So this is actually from last year. So let's assume we have a file tree with files and file contents and some folders, and we want to create these records we've just seen or similar ones. So we somehow need to transfer what we see here into what is stored in this semantic data management system. So let's zoom in a little bit. So for example, this could consist in picking up some information here from the string, the folder name here, and putting it into a field called date, which has a specific type. So we need some transformation from here to here. And furthermore, let's assume we also want to attach that file here, the script file, to this record, so that we can, for example, download it from the web interface. So what we want to do in principle is we want to extract a lot of metadata from file names, directory names, and also file contents. That's the most difficult part. And map these data onto a semantic data model and store it in KOSDB or LinkAhead. So to cite another example from the paper itself, figure 1 or something, is so we have a data model like here in a UML format. So a person, an experiment, a project. So 3 types that are linked together and have lots of properties with types. And in the end, we want to be able to pick up contents, for example, from files and put them into very specific locations in the data, also linked to the data model. Okay, so what we came up with is a file crawler, which is written in Python and released under AGPL version 3. It is adaptable to the file structure and also the file contents using a very specific YAML specification. It's extendable with own Python modules, so I assume that many people have their custom data formats or their custom data structures that they want to be able to pick up. And very important is the synchronization into the RDMS. So instead of the data ingest, we want to be able to really, not to only do inserts into our data management system, but also do updates. This is something I will not talk about intensively today, but which is explained in detail in the article. So let's have a look at our YAML specification. So we came up with a structure that is quite condensed, so that we don't have to repeat ourselves every time, but which is hopefully possible to be adaptable to very different file layouts and structures. So here, for example, we have on top, we have one block in the YAML hierarchy, which we call a converter of type directory. So this specific block here matches every folder that is called experimental data. And this folder possibly has a lot of subfolders. That's why we let the crawler traverse its subtree. And the subtree could be, of course, again, folders. So in this case, we have another level of directories, so converters of type directory, which we call project directory. And here we see that the match expression is a bit more complex, so it's a regular expression using variables. And the folder name could be, in this case, for example, 2024 de-RSE. So in this case, the year would be 2024 and de-RSE would be the name. And now the next block is actually where the mapping from the file system hierarchy to the RDMS happens. So we create records, also we create or update records that are of type project and which make use of the variables which were defined by the regular expression. So we can set an attribute year by using this year we have picked up here, and we could use the name here. Let's have a look at an even more complex example. So this is just a very simple one, but this one here actually looks into a data file. So we have a file here of type JSON file. This could be, for example, also a custom definition of a JSON file if you want. It matches a file that is called results.json, and it generates a subtree. So this subtree now is not a subtree from a directory structure, but it's a subtree derived from the contents of the file. So the file itself has an intrinsic hierarchy, and we can traverse this hierarchy like the tree of data that is contained in the JSON file, and we can actually make use and also match a name frequency that is contained here, match the value of that frequency that is contained in the JSON file, and again create a record of type data analysis and set the proper frequency. So I put up this example here because you can kind of see that even though the format is kind of similar in structure to what we saw for the file system itself, we can use this structure also on very different things like hierarchies in an HDF5 file and other things. Using the same structure for different types of data makes it possible to very flexibly adapt it to very different situations. Okay, and I already want to summarize. So we have written a crawler that continuously synchronizes, actually currently only one way, so from the file system to the RDMS, information from the file system to our semantic research data management system. We have a YAML-based extendable specification for adapting the crawler to very different file system layouts and data formats. It is published in this article, so if you want to see more details, you can look there. And of course, the whole project, so this is the LinkAhead software itself, and this is the LinkAhead-crawler, so it's already available, and we also already use it in production. So if you're interested, you can also have a look at the source code. Yeah, so thank you very much, and I'm happy to answer questions.